Hi guys, so it's been a while since I was making any videos on my personal vehicle, which is I really love, by the way, this particular model. So today I will be showing you how to replace the wheel bearing if you have a Mercedes-Benz E-Class 4matic manufactured between 2010 to 2016, because I'm pretty sure that all of them going to have exactly the same procedure when it comes to the front wheel bearing replacement. So I'm going to use lots of tools, as you can see on my floor. You don't have to have exactly the same tools. This is my preferred choice that I've been accumulating over the years, and it will work most likely perfect for this procedure. I will be showing one by one during the usage of each tool why I chose that particular tool, and so you will decide if you want to buy exactly the same or similar. It depends on the budget, depends on your own preferences on the brand. So the wheel bearing that I'll be using will be a Fabi brand, and this is the part number 40683. Cost 50 bucks, made in Germany. Really good quality. Okay, so now before we start any procedure, we need to make sure that our car is safe. It's not going to roll on us, so use choke on the rear wheels, or if your parking brake is working perfect, just push the parking pedal. Alright, so let's start. Now, as you can see, I have my favorite jack that I've been using for the last probably 6 years. This is made in Denmark. It's a good quality jack, and this is a part number DK20Q. It's working perfect because it's a low profile. By the way, it will not come with this pad. I made it myself out of rubber. It will be bare metal. So that's how I did it. And so this is when it comes to jacking up your front of the vehicle or rear differential. I'll be using really cheap but really good design jack stands. And so let's start. So I'm going to roll my jack under the car. Right on the middle there is a special place for jack, and I'm going to jack it up the entire front end. Okay, just like this. You see that there is a special place for that jack. Now I'm going to use my jack stand, the cheap one that I've been showing you before. And why I do like exactly this style, because I'm going to use a special padding that's going to go underneath of this special place to lift up your vehicle. Now look at the design, how it's built. This is company called Powerflex, part number PF40-860. It's specially made for the Mercedes-Benz. Why do you need this padding? Because if you will use your jack under this, it's going to damage this shape of the for your regular car jack. So let's say that if you have a flat tire in the middle of the road, and if this plastic is damaged, you will not insert your original jack that came with your vehicle. So you want to preserve this space, the shape of this plastic bracket as much as possible. So this will fit perfect and it will preserve it. So now I'm going to align it like this, and doing the same on the other side. So okay, Okay. So just like this, and I'm measuring to the shape of it, and let's see. I'm going to drop my vehicle slowly and checking if it's still there. Sometimes it's tricky if you're doing it yourself, because you have to align it exactly at that spot. This procedure must be made on a jack stand. Otherwise, okay, so I drop my vehicle, and now they are completely sitting on the both jack stands on both sides evenly. So be careful when you do this procedure that your jack stands will not be crooked. I can remove my jack, but it can stay there, it doesn't matter. So checking this side, and it's sitting just perfectly. As you can see, it's all flat and even. Now, when it comes to replacement of bearing, there is so many different symptoms why bearing, when bearing failed actually. So when you will be wiggling your wheel, you will see that it's actually wiggle like that, wobble like that. Maybe you will have an uneven tire wear. Maybe it's going to pull to that side where the bearing is defective. Maybe it's going to make just a whining noise or grinding noise. All of those would be the symptom of a defective bearing. Maybe it's just the time to replace it because your car is reached so many, miles or kilometers. So I'm going to remove the wheel. I'm going to use my impact tool because it's going to be much faster in my hands and to make this video shorter. So don't worry about, some people say, well, you cannot remove it with the impact gun. No, you can remove it. That's no problem at all. But when you reinstall a wheel, that's the most important, not to use the impact tool, but use a torque wrench. Otherwise, big chance that you can damage and warp your hubs. Okay. Now we have access to this cap that needs to be removed. Now you can try to pry it out with a screwdriver, probably big one if you have one, like really strong. You can buy a special hubcap pliers to pry it out. It's sitting pretty tight, so be careful not to damage it. Especially I'm talking to people that have rear-wheel drive vehicles, because this cap will be holding your grease. But on a 4matic like I have, there is no grease behind, so basically this is just a cosmetic. It doesn't do that much of a job here, so even if you damage it, no big deal. You can always buy a new one or drive it without the cap, which is probably not recommended. That's why factory install it. But there is a nice tool by this brand, Mueller Coops. This is an inner race puller. This is how it looks like, and in my application is going to serve me as a race puller and as this cap puller. But so I'll be using a sliding hammer, and I had to make a special adapter for that, because original design is to serve it as a race puller only. So let me remove this bolt, the middle push bolt, and install my adapter that I'm going to use. Now this puller is pretty expensive, but I bought it from at local pawn shop, and I believe there is a price on the bottom of the box. I believe I paid 75 bucks. The original price was like 250. So I just bought the bolt and welded to this adapter. So I'm going to use it for my sliding hammer. Now I'm going to attach it to this cap. Guys, again, you don't have to buy this inner puller if you just working, you know, this is not made for just the cap. This is made for the race, for the bearing race, to remove that outer race. So okay, there is a one bolt short one and there is a longer one, so I'm going to use longer right away, so I don't have to waste my time and your time, and show you how it works actually. Again, you don't have to have this special puller for that, but since I will be using it in the future on my other vehicles, I decided to go ahead and buy it because this is a really useful puller. OTC brand using exactly same puller. I don't think this is German, even though it says German design, but I think it's made in I think this is made in Taiwan. Okay, so this bolt is actually too long. I'm sorry, I just thought automatically that I will need this longer bolt right away. So I will use shorter bolt right now. Be patient with me, please. Okay. So you can buy it probably OTC brand if you cannot find exactly this brand for good price. So look on the eBay. I buy 75 of my tools from the eBay always, and 25% of my tools I buy from Amazon or local pawn shops. Now we don't even have to retighten this screw, but there is a wrench that they added to make it tight. And now I'm going to use my snap-on slide hammer. Now again, you don't have to have a snap-on. You can buy any sliding hammer as long as it's working and it has the same thread. In my case, I had to buy that, I make that adapter. Thank you to my neighbor Steve that helping me. So let's do. I'm going to hammer it probably 2 times. Oh, 1 time actually. So it came out pretty easy because this is like a 8-pound slide hammer. So came out and it's not damaged, so you can reuse it. If you will be using other tools, there's a big chance that you can damage that cap. Now that cap is not expensive, it's just not very convenient to run it to the dealership or order it online every time. Mine is perfect. So for rear-wheel drive vehicles, this is necessary cap to hold all of this grease inside. Okay. Now we put everything on the side. And now it comes to removing this middle Torx bolt. This is a big one, guys. So you will need this is a big size, so you will need E250 Torx to remove this one. Now if you don't have an impact gun, battery operated or air operated, you can try to use a big breaker bar, longer and better because you're gonna have more leverage, but your wheel is going to spin. So in order to hold the wheel, you would have to install the the entire wheel back into the hub, tighten all of the bolts, and then drop the car on the ground and then try to brake with the breaker bar. So little bit going to take you longer because you would have to lift up the car again a little bit, remove your jack stands, install a wheel, and then try to break this. So that's why the cordless tools or air operated tools would be big help for you. Another option, if you can, buy yourself a hub holder like this. Really nice tool. It's made for GM. The part number J42066, made in US, made for GM vehicles, but the holes were a little bit too small, so I had to put machine on a lace, this piece on a lace to fit the original Mercedes size bolt, because it would not fit. So if you would have this tool, you can tighten two screws here, and now you can install, now you can install your half-inch breaker bar against the ground, so it's gonna hold it for you, so you don't have to drop your vehicle. Probably this would be the best position. And let me get another bolt so you know what I'm trying to say here. So once you have this, and then you leave the breaker bar against the ground, and only now you will need another breaker bar to break this bolt. But this is just all options that I'm showing you. I purchased this piece for $14 shipped on eBay. So it was brand new, and there's lots of sellers selling this piece, and they think this is only for the GM. Well, if you make a bigger hole, it will work for any vehicle. It's a universal piece. Really nice stuff if you don't have a impact tool. In my case, I'm going to use my impact tool. So okay, now I got this loose, and try to push it, the axle, with my impact gun. Well, it's pushing really well, easy, it's not seized, but it's not always the case. Maybe your vehicle has been driven in the winter conditions, like salty states or provinces in Canada, and the axle spindle is seized and it's not moving as easy as mine with a push of a finger. So you will need to push out that spindle with actual puller. For this purpose, I purchased myself a nice made in Germany puller, brand Kuko. As you can see, it was purchased from maybe here, made in Germany, National Tool Warehouse, if I'm not mistaken. I bought it online. It was 50% off. I bought it like 1 month ago. So original price was like 400. They've been selling for $227 shipped. So this one is so nice because first of all, I'm going to use it to pull out my hub with a sliding hammer. Secondly, if your axle is seized, this puller comes with this hydraulic piston. So by installing this hydraulic piston, and there is a little pusher here, you will be pushing that hydraulic piston against that axle. So this will be pushing that axle, and it will even if you have it seized, if you look closely, it's going to push it out. So it takes the stroke is very short, so it takes some time for the puller to extract. Anyway, so I'm not going to use it now because my axle is moving freely, but in your case I really do recommend to buy such a puller instead of buying a cheap Chinese, because cheap Chinese is going to cost you $50, but the metal is soft comparable to this made in Germany, so up to you. Now when it comes, I was really afraid that if that puller will come with this adapter for the sliding hammer. I mean this one, because pictures did not show, but it actually came with the adapter. So I'm glad that I purchased this. Now, my snap-on sliding hammer, just a second. My sliding hammer, the snap-on thread would be different, as you see, because this is a German metric and this one imperial. So realistically, I made myself another adapter thanks to my neighbor Steve, that he is working on a lathe machine and he made it for me. So I can use this adapter specially for my application. But if you don't have a good neighbor like I do, as long as you have 2 nuts, so you can insert your sliding puller through this, and then with your other nut lock it from underneath, you can also hammer it out. Maybe you will have a bigger, some chance of damaging the thread, I mean thread here, but you have to do what you have to do to use this puller if you decided to do such a job with those tools. Now let's start with removing brakes. Okay, so pressing this spring, be careful, it's pretty strong, so it might fly and even you can get injured. So maybe wear some goggles if you can. So removing the spring. Now next step, I'm going to turn my wheels to the right and remove 2 bolts, 18mm bolts that hold an entire brake caliper. Okay. I'm going to use this impact tool and wobble extension, wobble socket 18mm. Okay. Okay, one, and then second on the bottom. Well, my second one is 19 because I replaced it before. Okay, and I replaced it before because I was not careful before, and I did not use a torque wrench, and I broke the original bolt. So the original bolt is 18mm, and I purchased a new bolt, and it came 19mm head. So let me get 19mm head. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll show you which one I removed. Those 2 bolts that been holding this bracket into the knuckle. Now I'm going to gently leave it like that, but I'm going to use my hook to leave it in this position. Because of the, you don't want to hang, it's pretty heavy caliper, you don't want to leave it hanging on the brake hose itself. Now I'll be removing those 2 bolts, nuts I mean, well, bolts and nuts. So I'm cleaning with my metal brush, and for right now I'm just applying a little bit of penetrating fluid, so it's going to get removed much faster and easier for me. Now this side, that would be the bolts that I will be removing, but this bracket is on my way, so I need to remove this nut right here, which is like 16 millimeter if I'm not mistaken, and the Torx 18 from here. So let's go do that. Okay. Yeah, this one is a 16, and I'm using 12-point socket, even though that I'm not a big fan of using 12-point on 6-point nuts, or I'm trying to use a black impact sockets if I can, but at this moment I don't have it, so no big deal. I'm just gonna use it what I have. Okay, it was not too tight, came out really easy. Now the next bolt that I'll be removing would be this Torx E18. Okay. So you will have to have all of those tools handy when it comes for. Okay, came really easy, just like that. This is a E18 made by a Leslie brand, if I'm not mistaken, made in US, but I don't like it because there is no hole to hold these sockets, so it comes out easy. Okay, now I'm ready to remove this bracket so I can have access to those two bolts right here. Okay, now next I will be removing my ABS sensor bolt socket, bolt, yeah. So I need 10 millimeter socket for that. Before I forget. So I'm doing all of this without going to the dealer or to the shop, because I don't have a shop press, 10 millimeter, and just pull out this ABS sensor. Okay, so leave it for now. Dealers charging so much money, it's cheaper to buy your own tools. Now I'm going to remove the brake disc, which is I need a Torx to remove this screw. And this one is using T30. Yes, T30. Now if your screw is tight and you cannot remove it, my advice would be, while this bracket is attached, still attached on a disc, but you want to loosen this screw, install a screwdriver. Well, this one does not fit, so you would need to install this screwdriver, but from underneath, like this. So when the brake caliper will be attached, the screwdriver will be holding against the caliper, so you can have some, or you can use the same holder that I've been showing you before as to hold your hub from spinning. Okay. On my next video I'll be showing you how I'm replacing those brake discs and why I am replacing them, why I'm upgrading them. Okay, now we have a hub, good access to a hub. Now this is the time to use our German-made puller. Okay, now you might say, well, I can use a snap-on like I have right now. Snap-on? Yes, you can, and the holes will be aligned one across from another one, but the problem is with the snap-on that the Mercedes-Benz bolt will not go through unless you grind it off that hole or put on a lace machine and make that hole bigger. So snap-on is not always universal tool, but I had it, so it's good. Now if you have you can buy $20 puller like this, $20 from eBay, shipped, made in US, by the way. Because of the rusty condition like this, they discount it so much, and they offer free shipping. Now this puller will work probably even a little better than Snap-on, but still it will not go inside that good to be flush with the actual hub. You still can do the job because the holes are bigger. Where am I? Yeah, so the holes are bigger, so you can still do the job. The only problem would be, I'm afraid that if your hub is seized, pretty, stuck, you might bend this, flange, which is a hub itself. So I would not recommend it either unless you don't have any other options. Maybe you want to put some kind of spacer in between if you're going to go with this type cheaper puller. So it's not always the option. So the best would be if you buy something that would be sitting as much as possible closer to the hub. So in my case, this is what I'm going to use. And you just have so many holes. You have to find the best one for your application, for your vehicle. I mean, because this is also universal puller. It's not made only for Mercedes-Benz. Okay. So I'm going to retighten this bolt, those 3 bolts, make it tight. Now if you look closely, this one is not, it is also not sitting flush with the actual hub flange, but this is okay as long as it's touching the, as long as the middle piece is touching this housing right here, so it should be fine. And I did it before, so everything worked good. So now again, see, if you have a hammer, sliding hammer, there is no guarantee that your thread is going to be same as this German thread because it's metric. That's why I had to ask my neighbor to make me this unique thread, which is a M20 by 1.75. This is on this black German piece. Okay. Okay. I think this is enough. Okay, now I'm going to hammer it a couple times, so sorry for the inconvenience. Opa, that's it. We got it. Came out pretty good. Okay. Okay, now we have access to our bearing and the circlip. Now, before I'm going to continue do everything, I'm going to spray my penetrating fluid. So let it sit while I'm doing something else. And so I'm going to spray it here, and I'm going to spray it through this hole where the ABS sensor was sitting. So it's going to soak in between the bearing and the knuckle itself. Now I'm ready to remove my sliding hammer and use my other puller to remove the race. Okay. Okay. I promise that I will not be making long videos, but I guess this video cannot be made any other way. maybe I'm talking too much about tools, but anyway, so the goal is to remove this race. Some people use a grinder, cut it off, and just split it with a chisel, and it comes off. Some people, they use a Dremel tool, small, tiny, to be careful not to cut the actual, you know, the spindle or this housing that bearing is going to sit on. I prefer to use the original or close to original puller to remove it nicely. So let's go here. And that's where I'm going to remove this original puller for this application only. Okay. So I already lubricated my spindle with the anti-seize lubricant, so I can have this tool for many more years. Okay. Okay, now we're installing this piece, and now we will be installing the actual spindle around the spindle, and that's what I'm going to use, a longer bolt. So this particular brand did not provide that longer bolt, but only short one. You can see difference. The longer one, the black, it's longer by ½ inch. I bought it locally at local hardware store for $5 or so, because it was a little bit too short on this particular hub. So make sure that all 3 jaws are underneath of the race. Tighten it good, and I'm going to apply my torque wrench, or I mean impact tool. Let me look for the right size of the socket. Okay, so this is going to be 22 millimeter socket. Now let's see what's this. That's it, easy as butter. So without this tool, it's take too long. I mean, you can use a grinder in worst case scenario if you don't have such a puller, a fancy puller, let's say that, but I bought it especially because I saw a possibility that this puller can pull up my hub caps, and it can pull out this bearing race. So easy. Okay, we're not going to use this tool anymore, and we just need to clean this with a brake cleaner and the paper for the next application. But for now, I am done with this flange. Let's move to this set that I bought it on eBay for only like $200. Original price was like $500. It's made in China. It's a good company, OTC brand, but it's working as it should, and it's a universal hub grappler. That's what it's called. If you see on this owner's manual right here, it's called hub grappler. So you're gonna have everything for most of the vehicles that you need. In my case, on this bearing right here, I'm going to use a. So to pull it out, you need any cap that will be pushing inner race. I mean this one. So when you will be pulling out, and you will need a cap. Just like that. And you will need a cap from the outside. I'll show you right now. So any size, I mean, as long as it goes, will be smaller than outer bearing. So any size of the cap, even this will work. as long as you will not be touching the outside. So this one to pull out. So before you're going to install any of those new bearings that you're going to receive, those bearings actually have magnetic ring. That's why it's different color comparably to this. So now they mark with a different color, so you know that magnetic goes inside of the vehicle for that ABS sensor. Some manufacturers, they use exactly the same silver color on both sides, so you don't know where the magnet is. So use a paper clip and just touch it. You will see where the magnet is catching, and that side goes inside of the wheel. Now there is a special tool, you can buy it for $15, how to test if that magnetic ring is not damaged. Because yes, it can be damaged during the shipping. For example, if somebody dropped that bearing, those magnetic pieces will get damaged. So that's why you have this piece, and as you can see, all of those pieces. So if that magnetic piece would be broken, you would not see a separation between those, you would not see any lines between those little magnetic pieces. I hope it was clear on the camera, guys, because I can clearly see the separation. So my magnets are okay. But you don't have to buy such a fancy tool if you're not working on the cars all the time. And you don't have to buy any of those tools that I'm showing you. I mean, you don't have to buy exactly the same brand because of the, if you cannot afford it, because everything is expensive those days. But if I see a good deal on eBay like this, $200 shipped, why not? Because the dealer is going to charge me $1,000 to replace this wheel bearing. I can do it myself. So all of those tools that I have, I didn't buy it specially for this project, but I've been collecting it over the years because most of my vehicles were Mercedes-Benz. So I have lots of universal tools or specially made for the Mercedes-Benz. Okay, well, let's start with removing the rest of the bolts and pressing out that bearing. Now, I'm going to turn this so I can have access to those two bolts right here. Okay, but probably I'll be holding this Torx bolt and removing the nuts from this side. So I'm sorry for the confusion. Let's go on this side. And what's this, 18? This is bigger. This is probably 21. Yes, this is 21. Okay. 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 Just 1 second, please. Coming. So I'll be using this lug nut socket because I don't have another one. And on this side I'll be holding it with my wrench and the socket. Okay, it came easy. Okay, and the next one. Next one on the bottom. Okay, it also came easy. Okay, now I will need to hammer out those bolts. And okay, as you can see on this side, it jamming that bracket. So let's correct that before too late. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we'll leave this bracket there, and now we have access, and we can pull out our axle like this. So, but don't leave it hanging if you can. If you have a hook, just help this axle to be supported. Now we have a full access to a bearing, but before we can pull out the bearing, we need to remove this circlip. Now this is another lesson for many people. Buy yourself a good quality, strong circlip pliers, because if you buy a cheap one, it will not do the job, because this circlip is seized. Even these expensive pliers cannot do the job. So that's why you need to hammer this. By the way, we can do this with the hub installed. So I'm going to install one bolt to support the hub, because we will need to be has to be supported in order after to pull out the bearing. So when you remove this axle, you will need to install the hub back in place. So use the same bolts that I removed before. It was not I didn't show you on the video, but I just pulled out this clip right here. As soon as you pull out this clip, this clip, you cannot lose it because it's attached to the plastic housing. You will have better access to install this hub. By the way, I'm glad that I removed it. Now I see the pretty deep corrosion on this strut, so I think it's not gonna last that long. Maybe next year or so I will be replacing it. So without removing this plastic cover, I would not see it. Now you need to have it installed back in place, because we'll be pulling out the bearing now. Now again, this is not always that easy as it looks on the video that some people show, because this circlip, first of all, have a proper, good, strong quality circlip pliers. This is what I use, Knipex 4811J3. Now I've been hammering a little bit here, little bit here, and with hammering here, different ways. Plus I've been penetrating with fluid to let it soak. Now it's possible to remove, just like this, as you can see. Okay. Now the manufacturer of the bearing, some of them original bearings, they providing with a new circlip. But this one is pretty good and still can be reused. Mine did not come with a circlip, so I am careful when I'm removing. So if you will be planning to remove it, be careful how that you don't damage it. Alright, now next, removing this, we don't need this anymore. Now we're going to our kit with the hub grappler, and we're going to use the biggest cup. We're going to use this. This is the biggest size from this particular set. So I'll be using a bolt, original bolt. I'll be using original nut. Now Chinese people, instead of installing a thrust washer right here, like an actual thrust bearing, they put two washers. So I lubricated them so it will have less friction, work like a thrust bearing, but it is not. So anyway, I bought myself a eBay $10 thrust bearing with a 3/4 inch opening, and it's going to help me to remove the press out that bearing. Now the original bearing, let's pretend that this is original on the hub. So I will be installing from the behind this cup, and then from outside I'll be installing this cup, and then bolt will be going through, and from the behind I'll be holding with the big wrench. So let's do it. Okay, let's do it on the actual vehicle. So installing cap from the behind. Now we have. Now installing this bolt. Installing this cap right here. Now there's so many different tools on the market right now, especially on Amazon or eBay. Guys, I'm not promoting which tool to buy. This was the good price, so I bought it. So there is a no thread on one end, there is a thread on another end. So this is the, with this end you have to find that bolt, thread it. So I'm not advertising any tools, guys. Don't get me wrong, nobody's paying me for that. That was just the right price, right size for my application. Even though that this cap is made in China, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it's gonna crack that easy. So because German tools will be cost lots of money, and even that race cooler, it says Germany, but I think it's China because it doesn't say made in Germany anywhere. So that's how it is. Now I'll need a 32mm wrench to hold that big nut, and I'll be using a 25mm socket for this. Again, I'm not a big fan of using 12 point on 6 point because you can easily strip that socket or even crack it. I'd rather have it impact, but right now I don't have it, and I got no time to wait for the new socket to arrive because the winter is coming, the weather is good, so I'm doing this video. So don't expect that it's going to come really easy, like because you have an impact tool it's going to do the job 100%. No, it's not always like that. Sometimes you have to use a breaker bar. And as you can see, my impact gun cannot do the job, so I'll be using a breaker bar instead. So I want to hear, realistically, I want to hear how it's going to crack for the first time. That means that my wheel bearing is moving, and that's going to prove that it's going to help my impact tool to work to do the rest of the job. So I don't want to damage my axle. So let's, oops. Just be careful how you do it because you don't want to damage boot of the axle itself. So maybe you want to put wrench on this side. That would be the best, I guess. And let's try to. Okay, now this wrench is against the knuckle itself, and let's try to hear that first crack. There you go. That's a good noise, good sign. You're gonna feel like something broke, but no, nothing broke. It's just your bearing started to move and slide out from the knuckle. Now let's finish with the gun. Okay, well, I'm done, and my bearing came out. It's all here. It wasn't that easy, as you can see, unless you have a really powerful air gun, really powerful compressor. I don't have a compressor, guys, and this noise that I was making already not pleasant for my neighbors because we live in this private community, condos, and but they know that I am sometimes I do make some noise. During the day it's normal, but still trying to avoid any noises. So this would be, that was the biggest noise that they can hear actually. Okay, the tool handled, I lubricated that bolt, it's nice, it's working. Okay, damage did not, I mean thread was not damaged, I was trying to say. Okay, almost there, pretty long thread, I didn't expect that. Okay, now we have original bearing. Now we can see the who manufactured that bearing. Let me get my towel. So original was made by NTN Canada. So not all of the parts on a Mercedes will be made in Germany, so don't be surprised. This is a good quality, I guess, and lasted pretty good. Time to replace it, so that's what we're doing here. Now we have a axle, I mean this hub, knuckle, and we want to clean it. Especially we want to clean that groove that where the circlip was sitting. So I'll be using a clean it with a maybe small screwdriver, or if you have it all like this, because you want it to be clean. And I have a metal brush so I can finish cleaning it. Like okay, so brake cleaner would be essential in this type of application, because you want to get rid of all of this maybe rust. Okay. Okay. And do the final cleaning. Okay. I don't like to work on rubber gloves because my hands are sweating so much, and so I rather work it without gloves. Just be careful to avoid damaging your skin. By the way, this is what I use for hand skin shield. This type of a grease is gonna give you a shield, invisible shield, that you can wash off your greasy hands after. Okay, well, now I'm going to prepare, clean it nicely, and prepare this. If you have an air compressor at home, would be even more helpful. Now I'm going to lubricate it slightly, this entire area, for the new bearing to be pressed in easy. I'm using this multi-synthetic grease, which is, you can use any type of a grease, or a little bit of oil, or W40, doesn't matter. Some people don't use any lubricant at all. Okay, now we have a new bearing. You remember that our magnets are on this side, and we already tested them and checked them that they all good. This silver side go out, so we're gonna press it like this. Now when it comes to your pressing, you want to press only outer bearing, so you need to find a cap that will be touching only outer bearing, not inside but outer. Okay, and so as long as this will be exactly the same size as your bearing, and that will fit inside of this hub. For example, right here. This lip, outside lip, will be pushing this bearing and it will go inside. This is the main goal. From the behind, I'm going to use this piece instead of any kind of cups, because cups take too much space, plus the spot behind the axle. I'm not saying that this is tight. You can get the smaller size. Just 1 second. I'll use a smaller size cap so you can see. So realistically you would have to use a smaller size cap, but the back of the hub or this knuckle, it's not really flat. That in some spots, if you look right here on the top, it is not flat. That's why I'm going to use this from the behind, just like this. Okay, so let's go. Okay. Okay, so new bearing, installed here. Now I'm going to have my cup. Now look from the behind what I'm doing. Okay, almost there. All right, now don't expect that it's going to slide like a, because I lubricated, now it's going to be really easy. No, you still have to apply some force. So installing my wrench, and I'll be doing it manually, not with a gun. So because I want to control how it's going to go in, that it's not going to be crooked. Okay. And I'm doing this with the breaker bar because you guys going to break your ratchet unless you have a good quality ratchet. Let's see if I have one strong enough, 1/2-inch ratchet, so we can do this process a little bit faster. Well, there you go. I can see it's going in. Take it easy. Okay, now that's it. It's all. The bearing is there. I'm going to use my impact tool to remove it. Okay, be careful that you don't damage your bearing when you're removing. Okay. Okay. Okay, so basically that bar was holding against the back of the hub or knuckle, and our bearing is all pressed in without any problems and without going into the shop. Now we are ready to install that circlip. Okay. Now, the circlip is going to be a little bit rusty, so remove rust with the sandpaper. This is normal to see because I don't have a brand new circlip, I'm going to reuse mine. It's very light rust, but still to prevent from any further corrosion. So I'm going to clean it, and once I replace this bearing, I'm good for another 10 years. Okay. Now I'm going to use same pliers. Be careful, guys, because this is pretty dangerous. So just like that. Okay, it's sitting good. Now I'm going to doing my control check. Be very careful so this punch will not slip and you will accidentally damage the bearing, because you will have to press it out. Okay, well, it's all good. Now next step will be pressing in our hub. Okay. We already cleaned it, so we just need to maybe slightly lubricate it and install it. Just a slight lubrication for easier installation. As again, you can use a W40, it's fine too. Okay, now when I will be installing this hub, the goal is, so this is the bearing. From the behind, I need to hold my inner race, not outer that I've been pushing in, but inner race. So this, so you have to find the cup from that set that will be touching only this inner race. So, okay, it's there. And now from the outside, I can use any cup as long as it fits over this opening. Okay, so any cup. Okay, just like this. Okay. I lost my... Okay, where's my bolt? Nut, big nut. And so realistically this job takes, you know, 1 hour 15 minutes, but because I'm talking too much maybe it takes longer. But if you have the right tools, you can do it under 2 hours, no problem at all. And so I have no idea why dealers are charging $1,000 for that job, or even more, because they're charging you for, they're removing the actual complete knuckle, they press it out on the press. They don't play like I do. They don't have time for that, because actually they do have time. They want to use as much time as possible so they can make more money on you. So that's why they're removing the actual hub. And this is a long thread. I'm sorry guys, it takes a little bit longer, but I want to be careful and do everything manually by hand, otherwise it can go crooked and damage my bearing or that the magnets on the inside of the wheel bearing. Okay, it's all good. I'm gonna hold it with the wrench, and I'm going to do it manually again, not with the impact tool, because I want to control it how it's going to go. This one is going to go, should go much smoother and much faster. So watch here on the top. Now maybe I need to remove the wheel, and maybe I'll put it from other side for more convenience. So it's going to go against the hub. Okay, okay, just like this. So basically I can do it with my hand, one hand. This hub presses in really easy, comparably to a bearing itself. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to remove it. Looks like it's all in, but we're going to verify that. Looks like it's all in, guys. Maybe not. If we see, there's a little bit more room. So I'm going to use a different adapter. Let's see. So this one I was inserting inside, but this groove maybe not letting me press all the way in. So I'm going to just swap the adapter this way. So it's going to be flush. So let's do it. Sorry, but I want to do it right. And so I'm not sure where you guys live, who's watching this video, but my local Mercedes-Benz charging $250 an hour, and they want to play for 3-4 hours with that stuff. Plus they will charge you for the alignment, because when they are removing ball joints and this and that, they charging you for the alignment. Okay, that's it. Now you see how close it's supposed to be? That's when you know that it's done. Basically like 2 millimeters between the hub and the flange. So I'm removing all of that, as you can see. Okay. Sorry guys for excessive noise. I don't think that I'm going to make any more noise than that. Okay, we are done. Basically we are done. This is 80% of the job is done. The rest of it, put everything back in place how it was. I'm going to still show you how I'm finishing all of that, even though that I don't like that video takes that long. Okay, but this set, this Chinese set, working really well, even for Mercedes-Benz, so I do recommend it. I don't know how many times you can get out of this set, maybe 10 times before it's going to fail. Like maybe thread will fail, this nut will fail, but it's working. So okay, now we are removing 2 bolts from the top. Okay. Okay. Don't worry about observing how I'm hammering those bolts. They are pretty strong, and they're going to last. Maybe actual dealer is replacing those bolts. I don't see a reason why would you want to replace. They are pretty strong, but who knows, maybe that's the... So now I'm installing back my drive axle and try to be very careful when you do so. Should be patient. Maybe you have to turn the axle a couple times until you will actually match those splines inside of the hub. Okay, so my axle is in. Now I need to install those bolts back in place, so look for that metal bracket and those two bolts that we've been removing. So usually it goes with a hand. Sometimes you need to help with installing through that hole and pry it, align it. Okay. Okay. And okay, I'm going to remove this strap. Okay. I'm going to just finish that bolt. I mean hammering. Okay, well, basically we're done here. So when I removed those bolts, I have seen there was a blue Loctite. That's what I'm going to use also. Nothing crazy, but if it was there, I'm going to use it too. You can buy that Loctite at any auto parts store, $5 or so. Now I'm not going to tighten it completely because okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna too tight right now. I just apply a little bit of blue Loctite and I need to get my torque wrench. Okay, so those bolts are actually same size as a lug nut, and if a lug nut is 96 Newton meters, then this one will be even more than that, probably 110, and that's what I've been reading online, that this is about 110. But if you want to verify with a dealer, it's fine with me. I am just going to retighten it at 110 Newton meters, so I'm going to use my torque wrench. Okay. Okay, let's see. So if you do this type of a procedure, okay, good. If you do this type of a procedure like I mean replacing wheel bearings yourself at home, you don't have to do the alignment. Because I did not move any of the tie rod adjustments, and the bolts on the strut are not adjustable for the camber. Okay, let's see. Somehow it lost settings. Let's do one more time. Okay, and this one more time. I pushed the button when I was... Okay, good. 110 on both. And my brackets will be probably, I'll have to check on a Google right now really quick, and retorque it probably 80 pounds. Yeah, I mean Newtonometers. Okay, now next, don't forget to install the ABS sensor. So I've been using 10mm socket, and this bolt had blue Loctite also, so I'm going to apply tiny drop. Okay, that's good, and install into the same spot as it was before. If your wheel bearing is pressed properly, nothing is, there's no other obstructions, and I don't think the torque specification really matter, because it's just a bolt then holding that sensor down. So just make it tight, and that Loctite thread locker will do the job, the rest of the job. So don't over tight so you don't break it, but make it tight. So all good on my end. Now next, installing this bracket right here. Okay, so this one was 16mm nut. Okay. So this nut for 16mm, I'm going to apply a little drop of a glue and torque it. Since this is not that big of a bolt nut, I'm going to apply probably 70, and also I will apply a little here. So for this big nut bolt, I'm going to have about 80 Newtonometers, and because that just 1 second, guys. I lost my... So, Torx wrench. Okay. Okay. I will verify later on how many exactly needed, but I think 80 is more than enough, to be honest with you. So for this application, this flex torque wrench, it's really working well. Unless you have a short torque wrench and you're working from underneath of your vehicle, then you have room. But in my application, this flex option is the best. So 80 Newtonometers I applied here, and I don't think that I need any more than that, but I will check that later on to be exact. And here I'm going to probably use even more or less than that, 70. Okay, I will recheck that again, not right now, to make this video shorter. Now I'm installing this plastic holder back, clip it in place. Now this is my ABS wire, was clicked here. Now I'm all good here. I'm ready to install bolt, big bolt. Now this is a big bolt, and I see there was a Loctite also, so I'm going to apply. And I don't think that you want to go by any of the torque specs here, because it's a big bolt. I don't think that you can break it, but I will use my impact gun all the way to the end. until I can. Plus, this is probably supposed to be like 200 Newton meters. I don't think that my wrench can do that much. Let's see the maximum. This one probably 220 maximum. I'm not sure. No, it's actually more than that. I didn't even know that. Oh, 160. Let's try 160. If that oh, I guess I would need to do it when the wheel is dropped, because now I need to hold my, well, actually let's do that method that I've been showing you. Now it's pretty useful to show that method, how to hold your hub. I forgot about that now. Okay. No, okay. Okay. So I got 160 with the gun, and let's see how much more I can get out of this. I believe this is 200 Newton meters supposed to be, but if you tighten it with a gun, plus you apply that glue Loctite, there is no way it's gonna get loose. Well, I got 200 here, even more than that. So all good. All good. Now removing. And we are ready to install the brake disc and the brake caliper. So this is pretty handy, guys. For 16 bucks, it's way to go. Plus, okay. Now the brake disc. Make sure you have a clean brake disc from the inside and your flange is clean. Clean it with some kind of wire brush or whatever you have handy, as long as it's clean. Otherwise you can you're going to have some wobble issue, or even, you know, your brake disc will be wearing out unevenly, because if there is some kind of rust on the surface. Same here. So okay, now I'm just going to put that screw back. Nothing crazy. That screw is just holding the disc, so just tiny drop of that lock, thread locker, and basically that screw is just holding your brake disc instead of you holding it while you installing the brake caliper and the okay. Now I'm not worried about specific torque spec on this screw, because it's not that important, I would say. Now carefully cleaning your brake discs on both sides, because I've been touching with my hand. So okay, good enough. Now I'm ready to install my brake caliper back in place, and I have one bolt 18mm, another one 19, because I broke one bolt previously, and so I've been order a new bolt. Okay, so now I'm ready to install my brake caliper. So removing from this hook. Okay. I don't have to spread my brake pads because I didn't do nothing different than it was before. Now I'm going to use my blue Loctite. Almost over. Anyway. And another bolt on the bottom. Okay. And I'm going to torque those two bolts at 85 Newton meters. Okay. What do I have here? I have 19 and I have 18 on the bottom. Okay. So I'm going to use extension. And the regular ratchet for now. Actually, I can do it by hand. Almost. Okay. And the bottom, mine is 18 because I have two different bolts, as I mentioned before. Okay, I got it. And now I'm going to use my torque wrench. And let's set it 85 right here. So it doesn't matter which one first, bottom or upper. And now my folding torque wrench working perfectly at this tight spot. So it is a good idea to have it flex torque wrench, flex head. I'm not really big fan of electronic one because of the because if you don't have a battery at that moment and you're in the middle of the project, you cannot use a torque wrench because your battery is dead. So that's the only one downside. Okay, now one of the last steps, installing this protective cap, which is again, if you damage your when you've been removing, no big deal, buy a new one or drive without one for now. For the rear wheel drive owners, you have to have it because it's keeping your grease. So do not hammer it on the middle, hammer it all around. This is, if you're going to hammer it all around, you can reuse this cap, and if you will be removing it properly, you can reuse this cap for many years, many times. That's it. It's there. Now the last, don't forget to remove your hook. My hook is yellow color. I especially purchased them from eBay or Amazon for $6, I believe, a pair, shipped, free shipping. So that's a no-brainer. Yellow color is visible, so you don't forget nothing. Now check everything again. If you installed your brake sensor, all of those bolts, everything is in place. There's nothing in hanging, nothing is loose, nothing is broken, nothing is leaking. Check from both sides, and you're ready to install your wheel as a final step. Now, when you install a wheel, you can use a gun to install the wheel, but you cannot torque it with a gun because you're going to warp hubs. So again, if you are owner of older vehicle and you have some rust here, you have to remove it. Clean it with a brush, a metal wire brush, or with any other type of a tool that you can, must be clean. Same as on this side, mine is fairly clean. I still can do a little bit better job, but it's not too bad. So it must be clean. And let's do the last step of installing wheels. Okay. Okay. So when you're installing wheels with a gun, tighten it to the first click, maybe second. Okay, that's all. So you don't damage actual hub flange. And the last security. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to lift up. Oh, this is a good lesson, guys. I forgot to install my caliper bracket. There you go. I forgot to install this. Okay, great. Well, this is not too late. If I would be doing this live, I guess all of you would be saying, hey man, you forgot to do that. Okay. Now, installing this with your both hands, pressing on the middle. Sometimes it's tricky. Be careful that it's not going to fly, damage your eyes. So it's good. Now we're back on the track, installing our wheel. I'm so glad that I found that bracket now, because what would happen, I would start driving and my brake pads, brake caliper would be rattling. So that's how I would know that I did mistake somewhere. Okay, now I'm going to lift up my car and remove jacks. On both sides. And I'm carrying those pads with me every time I go to visit my tire shop or something, that I give them those pads so they lift up my vehicle with those pads. Now I'm lowering my vehicle. I'm tightening my wheels to 96 newtonimeters, I mean. Okay. 96. Okay. Okay. the last security bolt. Okay, we are done. Well, that's type of a job that you must expect when you're replacing the front bearings on your 4matic. Quite a few tools involved, as you can see, big mess. Maybe this job is not for everyone, but I'm a, let's say, Mercedes enthusiast, so I am enjoying working on my personal vehicle, even though that maybe I'm not saving that much of a money if I would be going to a dealer, because tools cost lots of money. But because I've been collecting them over the years and I've been buying them for cheaper price from eBay, I'm doing well, and it saves me money, and I know I'm confident what I've done to my vehicle, so I keep record of what maintenance I'm done, so I'm writing in my maintenance book same as dealer would be doing. That's it, guys. Well, stay safe, and I hope that was helpful for you, for those type of people like I am. God bless you, and glory to God and glory to Ukraine.